Good morning and welcome to the new edition of Dr.Lamba's Awakening Call. President Roosevelt is remembered till today, and I hope so. He would be remembered in future as well, precisely for the New Deal. And now President Trump comes in with the ultimate deal. Very proud of saying that he's a master of the deal making. And this ultimate deal is regarding the Middle East plan. It's a 28-page detailed plan, and according to the administration in White House, it's a realistic two-state solution. Yesterday, the plan was announced in the presence of Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu and his domestic opponent, Benny Gantz. Israel immediately accepted the plan. Both the leader, that's the Prime Minister, and his domestic opponent. They didn't take a long time discussing it because this plan had been shared with them and with the Palestinian authorities earlier. And the Palestinian authorities had rejected the plan out of hand. Apparently, the rejection by the Palestinians shows that the deal in the Middle East is long awaited, has dramatic implications for the realities on the ground. But would it really bring peace? You can bring peace where both the parties to the conflict want peace. But if one party doesn't want peace, but is bent upon creating mayhem, disorder, then there can be no peace. President Trump said that Netanyahu had already agreed to a new map, which shows how the new region would look like. The peace plan envisages Jerusalem as an undivided capital of Israel, and it gives 30% territory claimed by Palestinians to Israel. So Israel gains a lot of territory. It is a long-awaited plan, as everybody knows, but it is a two-state solution. Let's not forget that. All administrations of USA have been calling for a two-state solution, but there never was a clear-cut demarcation of the two states. Trump and his team, including his son-in-law, Kushner, who worked a lot on this plan, have given a clear-cut demarcated territory both for Israel and for Palestine. Naturally, this shows that the very fact that both parties are not agreeing fully, while Israel has said it wants peace and it will accept in total, Palestine, as I said, has rejected out of hand. And this is a proposal without input from Palestinian leaders. So in case they don't accept it, it would abandon the two-state resolution to the conflict. Possibly again for the first time, the leader of Israel, Netanyahu, and his opponent both were present, and the opposition leader agreed that the plan was significant and a historic milestone, and in case he is elected on March 2, when the elections take place, he would implement it. Israeli leaders were absent from any talks. They are dismissed as a biased plan and preemptively rejected the proposals without giving it a thought, without giving any reason. The Secretary General Sabah, as the Secretary General PLO, has referred to it as a hoax. The Palestinian ambassador to UK, Hossam, calls it a fraud on every count. And the conditions for the Palestinian statehood are quite long. That's a fact. They have to fulfill certain conditions before Palestine can be accepted as an independent country. But the very fact that the partisan crowd has rejected it shows that there is some truth. And they have rejected without giving any reason. Just calling it a hoax, calling it a fraud, calling it stealing as Representative Omar calls it, doesn't mean anything. The first condition for the Palestinians is that they have to recognize Israel as a Jewish state with its expanded frontiers, 30% more territory. And second condition, the Islamist terrorist group Hamas, which controls Gaza Strip, have to be disarmed. Gaza has to be retaken away from Hamas, and so on. So who would dare disarm Hamas? Not that it cannot be done, but it needs a person like Hosni Mubarak or Jamal Nasser or Anwar Sadat to take such a step. Who will build the cat? And with good reason. Netanyahu calls it a historic day and calls it the deal of the century. He says this deal of the century is the opportunity of century. Look, being honest, for Netanyahu it is a godsend because he's fighting an election. He has been indicted for corruption. And if he wins the election, then the indictment would still be there. And he says he will be ready to fight in a court of law. So it should not come as a big deal to him from that point of view. The Palestinian leadership, since last year, before even the plan was announced, has said that the US initiative is DOA, dead on arrival. So they had made up their mind to reject the plan. As a matter of fact, they had called it not the deal of the century, which Netanyahu calls it, but the fraud of the century. And American president, according to them, has unleashed the greater Israel project and killed the prospect of a two-state solution. Now, how does this plan affect the various stakeholders? Let's take a very, very dispassionate, objective look. What's the news? Major part of the news, that Israel gets 30% of the West Bank, a step which all presidents of USA till now opposed. Trump has taken this bold step. And you can be sure that within a week or so, Israel is going to act upon that proposal and annex that 30%. And possession is 9/10 of law. Let me be very clear. So, if Israel annexes Jordan Valley, it will increase the hold and control of Israel and fundamentally change the equation for any future negotiation. So this is the point which Palestine has to take up. If they just keep quiet, and they will not keep quiet. So, what's the situation? There was a lot of noise when Trump moved the embassy to Jerusalem. But this is a much bigger step. It's even a bigger step than recognition of Israeli sovereignty over the Golan Heights, which was done with the President Trump. So, The Jordan Valley, the whole of it, goes to Israel. How does Jordan react to it? Jordan is going to withdraw from the peace agreement which it had signed with Israel. I had a telephonic talk with some people in Jordan, important people, people who matter. And I was told they are very aggressively considering that. For Netanyahu, personally, is the biggest moment of his political career. And his political career has been a long one. And it has been a very, very accomplished career. He was standing by the side of Trump during the announcement. And it was just after a few hours when he said, well, I accept the fact that I should not have immunity from corruption indictment. And there's just 1 month and 4 days more for the election to take place. Now, what happens? If the Jordan Valley is annexed, and which is going to happen within a week or so, that's what my feeling is. Even the right-wing voters backing Benny Gantz, his primary rival, would be acted towards Netanyahu, and it would be central to his legacy. Even if he is defeated, it will be remembered that it was Netanyahu's prime ministership when Jordan Valley was given to Israel. First the Golan Heights, US Embassy in Jerusalem, and now the Jordan Valley. So it is a major, major achievement. What happens to the Palestinians who have boycotted this process? The full benefit would come to them, but very slowly, and they would have been slow even if they were willing to agree with it. The plan envisions one thing. Let's be very clear. It envisions the Palestinian state. But the conditions, as I said, and there's a time period of 4 years when the conditions have to be met. And then, the biggest problem is they have a right not to reject the right of return of the refugees. And they have to give Israel control of all of Jerusalem, not only the West Bank. The whole of Jerusalem, undivided Jerusalem, goes to Israel. Would Palestine accept it? Because their whole base has been Jerusalem, West Bank, Gaza Strip, Golan Heights, and the Jordan Valley. That's a non-starter. Earlier, if you remember, the earlier plan had given them 100% of the West Bank and they rejected that. And now they get 0 of the West Bank. How can they accept it? So what is to be watched now? That's a crucial part. Arab states like UAE and Egypt earlier have been supporting Palestine. But now they are supporting Trump's plan. So the major supporter of PLO and Palestinians, the Arab states like United Arab Republic and Egypt. Egypt is the conduit to all the help that goes to the Palestinians. They are in favor of the plan. Only Jordan, where most of the Palestinians live, has some reservations. And you can be sure that some reservations can be smoothed over. It has not opposed absolutely. So the annexes go ahead. The annexion was the part, 30% of the land which is given to Israel. Jordan would, as I said earlier, pull out of the peace treaty. But that's a given thing, and that should not matter much because Jordan would not fight a war. And this annexation of land would, however, rally the rest of the Arab world as instigated by Iran against the deal and would overshadow other parts of the deal which are creative and constructive. But then if you have a deal, you have to give some to gain some. You can't have everything your way. And then there's a concern in the Israelis that the opposition of Palestinians, especially Hamas, could turn into an uprising in these territories. They are entrenched in those territories. They have built tunnels. They have built safe houses. So they can create a lot of noise, lot of violence, lot of bloodshed. So the implications are horrendous. But by and large, I think there could not be a better plan. And Palestinians would be well advised to accept it to show that they are really committed to peace and an identity. This plan gives them an identity which was not there when UN set up the original Palestine. Or rather, it was not there earlier also. At one stage, they had got 100% of the West Bank, that's all. And now, they don't have support of UAE, they don't have support of Egypt, and they do not have a support of Saudi Arabia. So they should be concerned about that and accept the plan. They can negotiate. And it's always better to live in peace than to be at war, perpetually and forever. Let's hope that this Middle East peace plan is a lasting peace, is a deal of the century, and is the ultimate plan. Let's hope. For hope sustains life that is full of peace.